So this is the Dorothy Strelsin Memorial Garden, and this previously was taken over by a local, some of the local Dominicans that lived here in the 70s and 80s, and it was chained off, so it wasn't really open to the public, but they were actually doing farming and gardening in here. In the mid 90s, Bette Midler started New York Restoration Project, and she went around saving community gardens that were about to go on the block under Giuliani and get sold to developers. So this is one of the gardens that she purchased and donated back to the community. And the first makeover of this garden was actually done by this BBC television show called Ground Force, which was very popular in the 90s. And they came in and they cleaned it up, and they did a lot of work on the soil and built these beds and put in a lot of the hardscaping, and did sort of the first sort of rev of the garden. And myself and about 5 or 6 other people came in as gardeners, and we've been working on it ever since. It's had a couple different makeovers at various points. And right now we have 8 individual garden beds. We have about 15 people who are actual members of the garden, but we're open almost every day. So lots of people come in from the community. We have events in here. We've had weddings in here. And it's just, obviously a beautiful, nice little oasis in our urban environment. We actually do collect rainwater off of this shed. It's got a pitched roof, as you can see. So everything rolls down, and then there's a collection path here, and then we've got a tank on the other side where we get to collect rainwater runoff. How many gallons it holds? It's not a huge amount, and we actually do also have water in the garden, so we do try to use that first and keep watering the plants with that, but we also have the luxury of actually having water in this garden, which is nice. We don't have a ton of flooding, but we do have a lot of hardscape that I'm curious what we can do about it. The pebble pathway is, I don't know, not ideal, and then we have this hardscape here, which we like because it provides us an ability to bring in chairs and do things like that, and it does have some
There's
cracks,
permeable
so it's permeable in some places, so and not in others. And in fact, one of the people in the garden actually likes to come in and fill it in because it keeps it neater and cleaner. But I'm just, and we get some, you can see there's some rainwater puddling here and there, but we don't tend to get...
There's never been a big standing... I've never seen
No,
like
we
a
don't
lot
have
of
a
standing
huge
water.
problem with standing water in this garden, so... and we did not get flooded during Sandy. The flooding's kind of stopped on Avenue B. So, so far, thankfully, we haven't had any disastrous weather events that have affected us, but, we do... like everybody else, get some pretty huge rainstorms, and it would be nice to figure out ways to capture that water, because one of the other things we're doing is we're watering the trees and the plants that are in the tree pits up and down the street, so we actually use water from this garden to do that as well.
It's a Siempre Verde garden. It's really got about a 20-year history. It was buildings. It's narrow, short lots, and there's actually 3 of them here. One of which is privately owned, 2 of which were HPD lots. When we cut the lock and started gardening in 2012, our timing was perfect. We had help from 596 Acres. The day we cut the lock, we got about 250 petitions signed. We had a story in the New York Times. We got things rolling very fast. We also had a video about it, but lo and behold, within 3 months we had a license, and now we're one of the lead gardens that just got permanentized at the end of 2015. So that was really fast, just 3 years from the time we cut the lock to the time we became a permanent garden. There's still a private developer in the middle lot, not unlike Children's Magical, but we don't hear from them much at all. And they haven't done anything to stop us from cowboying through their land. You'll see it's not level. People in the garden have talked about changing this entrance, removing this gate so it opens up more like your gate does, more invitingly. It's very hard to get in here. The other side is wheelchair accessible, and we have senior housing right there, so it's actually very nice that it's so close to them. We also attach to a playground, city park, and this is now part of parks. And we've all envisioned could our green infrastructure impact the playground right there, which is entirely paved. Level, but we could actually figure out how to capture rainwater that's off this playground if we got organized.
The school is that building over there,
That one there and that one there. There's two schools here.
but neither is literally adjacent to this.
No, the schoolyard is on that side, and this is all Strauss Park. And it's, you know, normally these are tennis courts over here, but it's partly closed off because of the construction. We thought that would be a great kids garden in that area. But you can see right now it's pretty shady. We definitely want to see about raising the level here, but you'll see there's sunken areas all over. We have not really seen where it's puddling as it all goes in so fast. We added layers and layers of soil and mulch over the last 3 years. We haven't made anything too permanent because we never knew what would happen with the third lot. There's been some talk about trading where they would take this one and we would take the 2 lots back there. Everything's been on hold though, and especially because Gardens Rising was coming along, we also said let's see what happens.
We moved to the neighborhood a little over 8 years ago and happened upon the Children's Magical Garden, and it was a very welcoming place for us to come and get our hands dirty. And I think that's something in this neighborhood that's so important, that with all the changes that happen all around us all the time, that there's a place where there's roots. And this garden was started in the early 80s by a group of neighbors who got together to clean it up after the building here on this property had burned down. And you know, sometimes as we dig and get our hands dirty, we find the little pieces of that building still. And so I think there's history in the dirt and in the soil, and yet it continues to turn and welcome all the people of the neighborhood every year. And this last couple of years we've done a free summer camp for kids in the garden, which has been really successful in the sense that my own kids have participated, and they've gotten so excited about learning how to put a new soil bed in and grow vegetables and make their own food. This garden has a number of flowering trees, a peach tree, a nectarine tree, an apple tree, a cherry tree transplant that we just received. And I think that's something that you don't see a lot right out your front door on the Lower East Side. So it's really special, and we've been fighting to make it whole again. So as you see, there's this fence right down the center, which is part of an ongoing dispute with the developer. And it's something that we're really passionate about, because this is one garden, it's one piece that needs to become whole again. You know, we want to be able to tend the rest of it, and that's something that we're really working with the community to try to find a solution for. There's so much development going on, and it's important to keep these roots where they are. We feel really strongly about that. We hope everyone else does too.
Hey Tristan, you remember when this fence was in here? What was it like when the fence wasn't here? What happened?
Lots of plants.
Who put the fence in? Up.
This guy who wanted to make a building here.
What happened?
I was walking to school, and then we see these people, and I go in, and then they say, they lied to me. They're like, we're not gonna tear this place down. And I'm like, are you sure? And then he's like, yes. And then the next day I see a fence over, and then he's like, he lied.
So he put a fence up when? In the middle of the night or something?
Yeah, they make. I don't know, but I don't know how you make fences, anyways. This could have to take a very long time.
But there used to be a whole garden right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How old were you when that happened? Do you know?
5,
So how old are you now?
8,
So it was 3 years ago.
or 4.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah, I'm 2nd grade, so yeah, 3 years ago. 4 years ago.
So did you?
I had to be 4.
You had to be 4. So did you play in this place, this area?
I just walk around.
But before, you used to be able to play in there, right? Right here.
Yeah. I walk around there, I look at the plants.
Before you go, if you have a minute, I'm Kristen.
We started that about over 20-something years ago. There was no flowers in there, and we decided we wanted to have a garden for the community. And my particular ambition was to have a garden for everyone. So I wanted something for the blind people, for people in wheelchairs, and it seems that my dreams are coming true now. We've been able to get some boxes, put plants in for the wheelchairs, and we do have 2 blind people that are gardening there. I just think it's a lovely garden, a lovely place, and we have all races, all nationalities are welcome, and they're there.
And we're doing this Gardens Roslyn thing. Is there anything we could do to help with the garden as far as collecting water and retaining water?
Yes, we would like some better drainage so that we can capture some rainwater, which is better than the normal water. And the roof, we need drainage from the roof.
So you collect the drainage off the park roof?
My goal eventually is to have a hothouse up there. I would love to have a hothouse on top of the roof.
How many gardeners are in?
We have roughly about 40, and I would say about 25 do most of the work, not counting me.
How long have you been doing this garden?
Over 20 years. About 25 years, I would say. I used to work for the Children's Aid Society on 6th Street, and I used to meet my kids over here because I lived in the area and I didn't want them to meet at my house. And we used to meet in the garden here, and ever since I've been involved in the parks.
So if Gardens Roslyn is going to come in and build some kind of water capture system, is that what you'd like?
Yes, I would. Water capture, yes. I'd love something like that in here.
What about the pathways in the garden that are asphalt? You take those up? Or?
I would love to get rid of that asphalt. There's too much there. I really hate it. It serves no purpose.
But
something here as simple as, and I haven't looked at your sidewalk, but their typical sidewalk, of course, is pitched to the curb.
Yes.
So whatever falls there sheets off into the curb, goes to the drain. One very simple, inexpensive thing that could be done is if you did a French drain 4 inches wide along the curb, right?
Yes.
And then coming back toward the garden, maybe at either end. And so you'd have in the French drain peak in the middle and sliding down the sides, and then with the pieces coming in here, instead of pitching like the sidewalk, you'd leave the sidewalk intact except for that.
Who's going to clean it out
pitching
when it
into
clogs?
here and a sand pit.
What's going to happen when it clogs?
well, that's part of.
It needs. No, it needs.
And turn up the sidewalk, that's going to be a job, like construction work.
Who's going to do that maintenance?
This up in the neighborhood, that could be a problem.
The gardeners might
That's what this money's for.
take that up.
Yeah,
This is not complicated.
But you got to think about the neighborhood now, this stuff in the neighborhood, and all the work and all the construction, that's going to be a problem. You ain't saying anything about money, what you're doing to the community and the neighborhood by tearing this all up to do this job,
Who
and
did
hope
this
that
with
it works.
volunteers? Who did this with volunteers?
Well, that's a very interesting point. And you would be surprised. You're looking here at 40 years. Okay? So in many respects, we would say that it's more like Popsy out of Uncle Remus, wasn't born, just grow.
Right.
And the amount of effort that it takes just to maintain this, all right, is significant. And so we get people who come in here in maybe 3, 4, 5 a year. Oh, we want to be a member. Oh, we want to be a member, and they will come for 2, 3 times and buy. It starts off, and until they realize and we understand people have lives, right? And it takes a rare breed that someone is going to want to take that time out of their lives to do this. Now, very much
there are
like
about 6,000 people in this city every year who do exactly that.
Let's see what we come up with. I'm fully in agreement with this tree captain stuff. You know, they adopt a street tree. If people are willing to do so under the restraints, under the constraints that they are allowed to deal with it, this is a wonderful idea. It's terrific. And it's a genuine benefit. But can it be itself sustained in some way? That is going to require, again,
maintain it. So don't get clogged, the pipe from the water going through the rain.
It becomes part of civic culture.
And what that means now runs out. Now you got to spend where to get the rest of the money now to keep up on the thing. You know what I'm saying? It may go quick. A lot of people get stick in their hands in their pocket, and their money could be gone like that, and nothing gets where it's supposed to go.
We have to recognize.
You got to watch all that. It's a lot involved.
We have to recognize.
Yeah, that happens. When fun comes in, some reason the money's gone. We've seen that happen already.
So this is Liz Christy. It was founded in 1973. It's the oldest of the community gardens in the city. 43 now. And in terms of drought, the thing I've been experiencing that's a problem with the gardeners is that we seem to be having an April drought every year. And people cannot get used to the idea that at this time of year, they have got to come out and water because things are bone dry. And it's happened, I think, this is maybe the 4th year. Have you seen, you guys must have seen this going on. Yeah. And it's very, because you're used to sort of, it's going to rain in the spring, I can be lazy. And then we get this like bone dry drought for about 4 weeks. And it really, I think, if you aren't thinking about it and get out and water a lot, it can really damage things. The tulips don't last as long, all of that stuff that you're just sort of used to, like, okay, it'll rain enough, And it's difficult too with a lot of bulbs. You can't just water like crazy because they break them up. So we've been doing a lot of hoses on the ground to get around the tulips, for example. So that's been, for the last 3 or 4 years, a real problem because it's just with everyone working full time, it's sort of hard to go like, time to start. So that's one thing we've been seeing.
How do you get your water?
Our water, thanks to Jack, specifically thanks to Jack negotiated. Avalon Bay was allowed to dig a trench along the edge, which they ended up actually not entirely doing. In exchange for that, Jack negotiated all the water we want in perpetuity in a contract that I can always threaten to shake in front of the super. And that, I've never had to actually get it out. Just being able to say that, if there's ever a problem, they come around and fix it, and they've been very good about fixing it.
That's it, baby. The future of the cities. That's it.